Hello and welcome. My name is Joseph Cass, Senior Director at S&P Global Ratings and the host and the creator of the Leaders podcast. So today, again, I'm joined by Richard Attias. So as a reminder, Richard is the founder and executive chairman of Richard Attias and Associates and the executive chairman and acting CEO of the FII Institute. So just a quick reminder that the views of the external guests are their views alone and they do not represent the views of S&P Global Ratings. Richard, thank you so much for joining me again on the Leaders podcast.
Thank you for having me again, Joe.
So today we're going to talk about the FII Institute. We're going to talk about the upcoming FII 9 event in Riyadh, but also we're going to talk about your background and your personal experiences. But I'll start off with a bit of a blockbuster question. So when the doors close and the cameras go off, what really gets said between these presidents, these billionaires and world leaders that you managed to put together?
It's a very interesting question. By definition, if it's happening Chatham House rules, we should not say what they are saying. But joke aside, at the end of the day, global CEOs and world leaders are mainly talking and discussing about how they can invest in the countries, how business friendly is the country. When they face a lot of bureaucracy or when they're not happy with the tax framework, they mention that to the leader. The leader is always expecting to have inclusive investment in the country, which is not just to invest, take the profit and run. So they are usually talking about how to make an impact on the investment in the country for the population. And they try quite often to build personal relationships because this is the most important. Trust is absolutely essential. And this is a cement of a long-term relationship. Trust, trust, trust. And I see more and more successful foreign direct investment where the investor and the leader are building even friendships relationship. Everything now is based on personal relationship. And I see in many countries in the world, big deals made very quickly because there is a huge trust between the world leader and the global CEO or chairman of the private equity or the sovereign wealth fund or the banks or whoever is investing in the country. And last but not least, they speak quite often off record on what are the challenges in terms of stability and security of the country? Because investors are always extremely concerned where they feel a lack of stability or uncertainty in the country. So these are the conversations happening behind the door.
Fantastic. So Richard, I wanted to talk a bit more about the upcoming FII 9 conference in Riyadh, so that the big kind of high-level theme is the key to prosperity. What can attendees expect from this year's event?
If you allow me, Joe, we will make a quick look at what happened since 2020, the past 5 years. 2020, we were the only conference which was hosted in the world despite COVID. And we were absolutely convinced that the humanity is extremely resilient and that will come even stronger post-COVID. This is why we hosted under the thematic, the Neo-Renaissance. We had the feeling that the world will come back and we will see a renaissance in many sectors like tourism, where, as you know, now the number of visitors, airports, traffic, are even bigger and higher than it was before COVID. And this is happening in many sectors. So from Neo-Renaissance, we realized when we hosted this hybrid conference in Riyadh that many investment now should be done with purpose, and that we're ignoring some important sectors which will have an impact on humanity. This is why 2021, we say invest on humanity, and sectors like healthcare, education, we were ignored or underestimated. And then the year after, we realized that the world is changing drastically, a shift between West and East, North and South. This is why we spoke about the new global order. And we realized that this new global order was a reality, and that investors, CEOs, world leaders, they needed something. They needed a tool, which was the thematic of the year after, the new compass, to understand how to navigate and to understand in which direction the wind was blowing for investors, in which geographies, in which sectors they should invest. And we realized that these new sectors were new horizons, were offering infinite horizons, infinite opportunities, which was the thematic of 2020, of the 8th edition in 2024. And then what is happening this year? We are hearing more and more the citizens of the world, thanks to our great survey called the FII Priority Report, that citizens, they really want to have a little bit of prosperity. And prosperity doesn't mean money. Sometimes it means dignity, just to not be left on the side. So this is why this year we are curating all conversation around one topic. Please, ladies and gentlemen, delegates of FII, try to tell us how we should unlock the keys for prosperity in all sectors, in all geographies. AI is fantastic, but AI should be inclusive. So what should we do for countries or continents like Africa or some countries in Latin America or even in Asia to not be left behind this AI revolution? Access to technology, access to food security, access to education. So let's unlock all these opportunities.
Yeah, fantastic. Thanks. So, Richard, the FII works very closely with the Public Investment Fund, PIF. How would you describe the relationship, and what impact has the PIF had on shaping Saudi Arabia's broader position on a global stage?
FII as a conference started under the leadership of the PIF, the Sovereign Wealth Fund, in 2017. 3 years later, we decided that the FII should become autonomous, and FII should be owned by a not-for-profit foundation called the FII Institute, to be totally independent financially and independent from an editorial point of view, which is absolutely the case now for almost 5 years. But PIF is the founding partner. And you cannot talk about investment, which is a core and the DNA of FII as a conference and as FII Institute, which wants to have an impact on humanity, unless you listen and you hear the opinion of the PIF. PIF is an amazing tool, and today is almost $1 trillion under management. And we are involved in so many sectors, 100+ portfolio companies in almost all sectors. So the relationship is fantastic. By great and good coincidence, our chairman of the FII Institute, His Excellency Yasser Umayyan, is also the governor of PIF. So we have very close relationship, and we are supporting as much as we can the PIF strategies and vice versa. On day 3, for example, of the F conference, which is on the 30th of October, we'll have a summit inside the FII conference about the assets management, curated by PIF and PIF experts. We every year have something about the carbon strategy, carbon neutral strategy, which is one of the great priorities of PIF. We launched together some initiative related to ESG 2.0, how to reinvent the ESG framework to make ESG rules more inclusive, and so far and so on. So we're extremely close because PIF is our founding partner. But back to your question about how they impact the transformation of the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, it's massive. almost all the giga projects happening, like NEOM, Murabba, Darhiya, Qadiyya, all these Red Sea Global, all these projects which are transforming the landscape of the kingdom, creating jobs, launching so many new sectors, which is the Vision 2030. I would say, to summarize, that PF is definitely the platform and the tool which is implementing the Vision 2030 under the leadership of the Crown Prince, who is also the chairman of PF.
Great. And Richard, you had, I think it was February this year, you had President Trump. So he joined your event on the FII priority events in Miami. How was that appearance organized, kind of logistically? And what was it like interviewing President Trump on stage?
It was a great moment, to be honest, to interview the President of the United States of America. He is probably the most powerful man in the world, by definition. And when the president was re-elected in November, I suggested to my chairman, Yasser Rumayyan, we should invite the President of the United States because we're coming to Miami. So it would be fantastic to hear from him 4 weeks after he takes office. What is his vision about the business? What is his vision about the global economy? What is going on with the tariffs? How we see the relationship between the administration and the global business community, and so far and so on. So we sent an invitation, and the invitation was immediately accepted. Then we had conversation between us and the White House people. His Excellency Yasser Rumayyan met with the president also. Then we met him during the inauguration, and he immediately said yes. He realized that it is a great opportunity to speak in front of 1,500 CEOs in Miami. It was in his, I would say, almost territory. So he was at home. And he was supposed to deliver a 20-minute speech. I feel that he was feeling very confident, very well, and he spent almost 90 minutes. And I suggested to also ask some questions, and he accepted even to take some personal questions. He had no clue what the questions were about. So there is no censorship, very open conversation. And I am almost the one who interrupted the conversation because I felt guilty to keep the president with us for almost 90 minutes. But I could have continued for an additional 30 minutes. It would not be a big challenge for him. He was feeling very well with friends, with an audience which was extremely happy to see and to hear from the president. It was a non-partisan event, if you see what I mean. And he spoke very openly. Even he took, as I said, some personal question about what he wants his legacy to be, what was the best advice he got in his life, how he sees the future of the United States, how he sees the brand United States of America. So he accepted to answer to very unusual questions. And the participants were extremely happy to have this moment with the president and to understand where the president wanted to go. He addressed some challenges on geopolitics, on geoeconomics, the relationship with the Middle East. So it was a great conversation, and it happens almost naturally.
Wow, that's really impressive. Congratulations on the coup.
No, I think he checked about how credible is the FII Institute, and we are very happy because to have the President of the United States and the White House advisor to say, yes, Mr. President, you can definitely address in front of the audience of this not-for-profit foundation was for us something great because it was about our credibility and our legitimacy to host the President of the United States of America.
Yeah. Wow. Well, on that note, Richard, you know more world leaders personally than pretty much anyone else I know, as you've just discussed. What's the biggest kind of topic on their mind right now, do you think?
World leaders are extremely concerned. They're extremely concerned because almost on all continents today, you have conflicts or potential conflicts which could destabilize more and more our world, which could destabilize and penalize the growth of the economy. Geopolitics have an influence on geoeconomics, and this is concerning many world leaders because they want to build peace, because peace is a key element for prosperity. But we hope that we will see lights at the end of this tunnel of an era for more than 3 years now, where too many conflicts are slowing down the process of growth, while at the same time you have amazing opportunities thanks to new technologies, AI bringing so many opportunities for growth, progress in science bringing a lot of opportunities in biotech, in healthcare, and how to reduce poverty and how to make humanity more healthy. You see a lot of new opportunities thanks to innovation. So we need to fight to make the half full glass more than half.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Richard, when FII began, I mean, the press used to call it, I don't know, they still do now, Davos in the desert. But now it feels like it's grown into this global movement. I mean, we spoke about the Miami event. I know you do events all over the world. How would you define its kind of unique identity today? And how do you think, or how would you differentiate the FII versus the World Economic Forum at Davos?
First of all, FII has nothing to do with Davos and has nothing to do with the desert. I think this cliche started from the very beginning because I was for 15 years producing the Davos Forum in Switzerland. So people made analogy. But Riyadh is far from the desert. Even if there is a beautiful desert in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh is becoming one of the most modern and developed capital in the world. Riyadh looks more close to Singapore than to any desert. Riyadh is much more closer to great, developed Western and Eastern capitals in the world, and it is becoming one of these top 5 capitals in terms of growth, in terms of modernity. The skyline of Riyadh looks more close to the skyline of any global modern cities in the world, and at the horizon of Expo 2030, with all the giga project happening, Murabba and many things happening in Riyadh, it's far from being the desert. Now Davos is a global conversation, which is quite often also on geopolitics, while FII is extremely focused on geoeconomics. In Davos, you have conversation about really several topics, which has not often, I would say, talking about our value proposition is very simple. I will quote his wild Hannes Kronprinz, who in fact is the founder of the FII. The idea came from him, and I will always remember his definition of FII. Let's create a platform where investors and CEOs will come once a year to have a global conversation. It's not about Riyadh. It's not about promoting Saudi Arabia. It's really a global conversation to understand where they should put their money in terms of sectors and in terms of geographies. This is the definition of FII, which is quite different from the definition of Davos or Milken or Bloomberg conferences or even CGI, Clinton Initiative in New York. So our DNA is quite unique. And this is why we host every year, year after year, for the 9 consecutive year, 5,000 global CEOs. And the other parameter, which is quite interesting, is we are probably the most inclusive platform. You have people from China, from Asia, from America, from all parts of the world together in a very peaceful place, very neutral place, working together, networking together, debating together. And you have the old guard, the extremely successful global CEOs also sitting at the same table of the new generation of innovators, of tech pioneers, of students, because we try to be always extremely inclusive. And last but not least, people like you, influencers, media leaders, you are also part of the conversation because you are in the center of the conference center. We don't leave the media on the side. We want the media to be part of this conversation because you have this moral responsibility to share all the conversation, the knowledge, because we want also FII to be a platform and access for knowledge to be inclusive for even people who cannot join us, to be remotely being able to attend the conversation and to understand what's going on. So it's very different. I think it's a unique platform today. And this is why we are supported by more than 45 strategic partners, because they feel that what is happening is impactful. And we are at FII Institute, the foundation, launching many initiatives who are extremely tangible, and many of them could become resolutions that we share with international organizations like the United Nations, the G20, the G7, to be a resolution implemented also with the support of world leaders.
Yeah, absolutely. And Richard, what are your, let's say, your hopes, aspirations for the FII Institute in the next, say, 3 to 5-ish years?
It's a fantastic question because we are really in the middle of this strategy. The board and the executive committee are brainstorming and working hard now to, by the end of this year, which is literally tomorrow, come with a new strategy, a new business plan about what we want to achieve by 2030. Definitely, we want to be more global. We will, I hope, be able to implement offices on each continent, as much as we have now FII Priority Summit happening in Miami. We had one in Europe. We started in Albania a few months ago in Tirana because many world leaders were having and hosting their European conference there. Next year, we will probably look at the country where we will go, which will be one of the big European countries where other big and political events will happen, because we want to bring the business dimension. We are going to Tokyo in a few months. First week of December, we'll be in Tokyo for the FII Priority Asia Summit. So as much as we have our platforms and we create these dialogues all over the world, we need to also have a physical presence. So number one, the expansion will be physical by being more close to our strategic partners, to our members on each continent. Number two, we want to continue to be the owners, the catalyst, the inspiring force of 4 or 5 very practical but very impactful initiatives which will become resolutions on AI, on healthcare, on how to protect the oceans. We have already these 3 great initiatives that we will present and explain how they are deploying at FII 9, on how to, for example, wave great initiative initiated by Her Royal Highness Princess Rima, the ambassador of Saudi Arabia in the United States of America, which is also a member of our board, on how to generate, clean, and recreate the oceans, which is extremely important. We want an initiative on AI be inclusive, to not leave on the side I would say, underprivileged countries or people to have access to AI and technology. And last but not least, we want to create initiative resolution to make a more healthy humanity. So we want to have more impactful initiatives. So to be global, to have more initiatives, to definitely be the home of more members to join us, because each single individual could contribute to ideas, to impact, to, I would say, initiatives, ideas. And last but not least, which is extremely important, we want to be the most inclusive platform, and probably the most desired. I would not say loved because it's too ambitious, but the more desired platform for the youth. Yeah. And this is why we created FII Institute TV, because as you know, the young generation spend all their time on social media and on their phones. So we want also to give them access to all this information, to share knowledge, to inspire them. And last but not least, we want also to be, as I said, a do tank, which means we are helping financially, thanks to our Pillar Act, some startups, because we want to lead by example. We invested and we deployed already almost $7 million, by investing in 7 different startups in several sectors, from sustainability to healthcare to AI, etc. And we want to continue to potentially do that and to help and to give a hand to young entrepreneurs. We are launching in FII a great tech, I would say, competition to help raising money for startups and to give them access to finance. So this is how I see the role of FII. We just want to be an amazing platform, really delivering concrete results, concrete initiative, and to always create the best conversations, the unexpected conversations without any censorship, and to be sure that all voices are heard, all opinions are heard, but not a single session end unless we leave the room with solutions, with proposals. We are probably today, in total humility, the most real call for action.
Yeah. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. So, last question, Richard. You're meeting leaders across the globe regularly. Do you have one kind of piece of art, so a book, a film, or something else that you recommend leaders read or watch again and again?
First of all, we will publish in 1 month a book that you will find on the seats of FII 9 about prosperity. And this book will include 60 definitions of prosperity coming from world leaders and from global CEOs. So I am personally curious to read this book, because this will be probably the first book that the FII Institute will publish. And it is definitely the content developed by world leaders. So I think it will be interesting to see the difference of definition of prosperity. But back to your question about which book I would recommend. There is one book. I don't say there is only many books deserve to be read, to be honest. But personally, I like one book which was written by Andy Grove, who was the global CEO of Intel years and years ago. And it was called Only Paranoid Survive. And I think we live in the world today where we see so many things happening that we need to be proactive on the unpredictable. So I think some people in my entourage think I'm crazy to be paranoid, but I think it's important today to be ready for anything which could happen, because we are living in a so unpredictable world. You wake up in the morning, you have no clue what will happen. So you need to be paranoid, because by being paranoid, you will not be taken by surprise. And sometimes people say, oh my God, you are super pessimistic. I say, no, I'm trying to think of the worst case scenario to be ready, because this is, I think, the role and responsibilities of any world leader and any global CEO, because we have huge responsibility for our citizens when we are a world leader, and you are huge responsibility for your employees when you are a global CEO of a corporation. So you have this moral responsibility to guarantee the survival of your company and the good health of your country. So in both cases, I think it's important to be paranoid and to read how to be ready for anything which could happen. If you are thinking of COVID, no one was ready for this tsunami which happened and impacted the humanity for more than a year, where all cities, countries were locked down, cities became ghost cities, and it has a huge impact. So we never know what could happen next, So in terms of pandemic, in terms of cybersecurity, negative impact, in terms of conflict. So we need to be ready for the worst case scenario to be sure that we will be able to immediately react and to show that our humanity is extremely resilient and can survive to anything.
Fantastic. Well, Richard, it's always a pleasure having you on Leaders. Thanks so much for joining. For everyone watching, for everyone listening, see you next time on the Leaders Podcast.